being with us for our November the, what's the date, 19th?
Yes.
November the 19th meeting? Oh, I think I might have an old agenda.
Yeah, I know, I was looking at the same thing.
I say October 22nd.
You said just
that part.
Okay, I looked at that and said the same thing, but wait a minute, okay.
As we normally do, let's just go around the room and introduce ourselves, starting at the inner table, and then we'll start all the way back in the corner, whoever that is, all the way back in the corner. If you can just tell us name and who you are, or organization you represent, or department you work in. Tyrone Nelson, Henrico County.
Connie Ashley, General Counsel.
Dave Anderson, Chesterfield.
Barb Smith, Chesterfield.
Jim Engel, Chesterfield.
Ellen Robertson, City of Richmond.
Todd Ure, Henrico County.
Cheryl Adams, CEO.
Andreas Addison, City of Richmond.
Jim Barr. She just our most operations like GRTC.
Oliver, recommends GRTC.
Launch part of GRTC.
GRTC.
Faith Walker, RV Rapid Transit.
Ken Lance, Glen RVA.
Troy Gruffin, RideFinders. Stephanie Power, RV Rapid Transit.
Umbrella, GRTC. Joe Phillips, GRTC.
Anthony Carter, GRTC.
Dexter Hurd, GRTC.
Jan Swift, GRTC.
All right, thank you. Again to our November meeting. Ben, I don't think we have any. Is Ben in here? Okay, I don't think we have any comments. We didn't. Oh, yes, no comments, right. Do we, is there anyone here want to speak during the public comment period? Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Faith Walker. I'm the Executive Director with RV Rapid Transit. And upon reading the agenda in relation to the armed security, I think it's definitely needed. There has been a lot of unfortunate instances where it comes to violence in the past few years, and it made a lot of riders uncomfortable. But I also wanted to make sure that the board recognizes too that often communities of color are often over-policed, and just be mindful of who is the armed guard. I think some of the transit riders who saw in the report that that person would be armed, they got a little uncomfortable. So I think just educating the bus riders on the intentions of the security guard, but also making sure that the security guard is informed in trauma. I think a lot of times violence does happen at the bus stop, but it's generally not the bus rider. People are going to work. And so I just wanted to just make that clear and known. Thank you.
Thank you. We hear you. Anyone else? All right, we're going to close the public comment period. Now we move to the approval of our board meeting minutes. You all received a copy, so is there a motion to approve the meeting?
Second.
All right, motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, consent agenda. One item you already heard, which was the public safety officers, fixed fleet video camera equipment retrofit, professional landscaping and lawn care services. These are consent item agendas. Does anyone have any questions in particular about anything? I will ask about the public safety officers. Mr. Carter, if you don't mind just giving us a brief overview about what that will entail.
Morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. So the public safety officers, basically, we had a demand from the public, the employees, the passengers, that we need to do something. We've been looking at this for a while. situation where, things have changed. We've seen a big increase in incidents on the actual routes, especially since the pandemic. And we've been trying to come up with ways and review things and come up with different ideas on how to sort of mediate those situations. And we feel like we got to the point now where we have to put somebody out there. Now, by no means, we say public safety officers, and yes, they're going to be armed, but that's the last resort. We're trying to put together a program where de-escalation training, communication, crisis intervention, all that stuff is going to be put in place before they actually get to the point where they even have to use or think about weapons being drawn. But unfortunately, we see situations where we have people out there that have weapons, and we want to make the employees feel safe, we want to make the passengers feel safe, and we want to let them know that we do have a presence out there. And that's the whole purpose behind the public safety officers. We're calling them public safety officers because that's what they are. They're out there to protect the public safety. They're out there to protect public transit passengers. We want to take away the emphasis of armed at any way we possibly can, but to put a presence out there, and yes, they will have arms. So basically what we're just trying to do is set a presence out there to make the public aware that we do care, we do hear those concerns, and we hear the concerns from our employees. So in a nutshell, that's basically where it is. We've come up with Allied Universal. We've gone through the procurement process. We've gone through the evaluation process based off the conversations that we've had with Allied, based off their records, based off their experience. They have plenty of experience working with other transit agencies across the nation. Some of our own employees have dealt with some of the other agencies and talked with them firsthand and seen some of the programs that they have in place. So we feel like we vetted in them. They provided us enough experience, enough records and everything to show that they can do the job, and we feel comfortable with moving forward with them. But like I said, I can't stress this enough. It's not about armed security. It's about public safety. It's about showing a presence out there and being out there to mediate some of these situations that have come up.
All right, thank you. Questions? Yes.
In addition to the public safety officers, we will also have transit ambassadors, and they will be the main ones riding the buses to serve as customer service agents, in addition to letting people know that they're out there. The public safety officers won't necessarily be on the buses. They'll be at platform.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Barb, and then
Saw something come through from FTA that they're putting a emphasis on safety for transit agencies, for drivers and passengers. So you guys are ahead of the game. That'll probably be coming through.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. They actually sent out a request for information. I think it's due the day after Christmas, and we've done the research on that and getting together with our joint labor committees, our safety committees, did a risk assessment, and one of the big things that did come up was the actual security side of things. So yeah, we're ahead of the game on that and getting the information, getting the research back from our passengers as well as our employees on what to do to mediate some of these issues. So all that's being researched and everything. So we, like I said, we've done the research on it. We tried to come up with different ideas, but we just feel like at this point we need to put more of a presence out.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I'm hearing from Faith is that we want to put more emphasis on the need to educate our riders and the public in general to have a better understanding as to what that safety effort that we're putting in place. And so I guess my question would be, what efforts are we making to make sure that the community receive what we are presenting to them as a benefit and as something that accomplish the mission that is at hand, rather than feel intimidated? Not that you can completely prevent that, but more public awareness and more education as a part of the initiative.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking to do. So far as our transition period, we still have a transition period to get these actual officers out on the street. And part of that is going to be through the training, the education on the training side for the officers, but as well as through our marketing campaigns that we put out to the public to let them know what's going on. We want to make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on. And like I said, we're not putting people out there just to police, to create more chaos. It's more of a support. And basically we want to make sure that our officers understand that, and we will provide that through the transitional training to get them in place, but through the public safety campaigns that we put out to our marketing.
Will there be some methods to measure the consumer's satisfaction with the service?
We do plan to have data checks and everything so far as how they're mediating the actual incidents that come up, but also through surveys and reaching out to the community, to the public, to see what their feedback is.
Thank you. Thank you.
How many officers do you expect to be at various times of the day?
So basically it's going to be 3 officers and 1 shift lead per shift. And what we'll do is we'll come up with ideas. What we're starting off the plan is the vision is to hit the DTS. That's what we're seeing a lot of our incidents at, to make a presence there at DTS. Now, eventually, we're hoping that the numbers will go down there, and then it can be more spread out through the actual service route. As Cheryl said, we're not going to have them on the bus right away. It's going to be a situation where we have some monitoring the bus routes, some of those high-risk bus routes that we picked out through the data and everything. But starting off, we're going to have a presence at the DTS.
All right. Any other questions?
Separate consent matter.
Okay. All right. Let's shift then. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
It's more a semantics question about the landscaping. The first bullet point says bids were distributed to over 10,000 qualified companies. Is that just another way of saying it was publicly made available for companies? Okay. Okay. As I was like, that's very thorough.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? I guess we should have pulled, maybe we should have pulled it. That's fine. I think we can leave the public safety as a part of it. Any other questions in general? Consent agenda items. All right. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All right. Moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Operational updates.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'll be providing the operations performance report for the month of October. So we begin with our transportation department, our operator staffing. So we did see a slight uptick with our staffing numbers. We're around 318 at the close of October, closer to our goal of 325. And we still have 19 trainees in various stages of training right now. They want to highlight our current transit operations. Our on-time performance has improved year to date. As you can see, back in 2023, we were hovering about the mid-70s. Over the summer, we were about near our target of 92%. We did see some slight decrease over the past few months just due to some recent staffing challenges with WeDriveU, which they're addressing now. But also we have seen an exponential growth in our ridership and demand for our care services. So WeDriveU is trying to staff up to meet their challenges and also the demand. Then we go over to our microtransit department. Since our first class in July, we have seen some attrition. We also have increased our goal just due to the service expansion from last month as well. So our goal is 24. We close out October with about 18 operators. We have 4 in training, and we actually just posted for another class as well to start to reach that target. We also did put our EVs vans in service as of October 31st. After some training and testing, right now we're restricting it to just 1 or 2 out there. Just due to the infrastructure, we're waiting for the long-term charges to be installed here. So jumping over to our safety and security department, from our safety reportable events, we're still below national average and we continue to decline in terms of events year over year. Something that's pretty interesting is we had the same numbers back in 2023, back-to-back months, and we have the same this month. We didn't fix the numbers. Within a microtransit and paratransit, we did see a marginal increase of just one incident piece for each service there as well. And in reference to the informational item in your board packet regarding safety performance targets, that is a required annual revision that we got to do with the FTA regarding the annual targets. That's inclusive of fatalities, injuries, safety events, and vehicle reliability. We did only see a marginal increase in injuries and safety events from last year. So our current safety targets remain appropriate, which is what we recommended in the board packet. Within security, happy to report we have 0 physical assaults reported system-wide. We did have 4 verbals that were reported from our fixed route services. We're continuing to conduct peer research with other public transit agencies about their initiatives, inclusive of HRT in Hampton, Dash in Alexandria, TriMet in Portland, and the OCTA in Anaheim, California.
So this was for the past month or verbal results?
Correct.
Like, give me an example.
Verbal assaults would have been a situation where an operator asked somebody to get off the bus or asked somebody to step off the bus, and it turned to a verbal assault.
Things were said.
Yeah.
We can't say here.
As Tony and Cheryl mentioned, we're continuing to develop our transit safety ambassador program, and actually as of Friday, we posted those positions to hire the inaugural team of 5 full-time and 2 part-time ambassadors. So we're really happy about that to improve our system presence and visibility. And we're also planning to do updates to the cameras and other technologies at the transfer station as well. Within customer service, we have seen a slight increase in complaints, but we still remain much lower than last year's figures, even with the rise in our service and expansion last year. So we're hovering in the 60s last year. With our fixed route, we're between 25 and 40 the past 2 months. Paratransit, about 1424 last year, and we're about 1416 this year. Transit just had one complaint last month. And we also did receive 10 accommodations in the month of October, system-wide. And wrapping up with our fleet maintenance and facilities department, we continue to meet our target of 80% preventative maintenance. We have seen some fluctuation with our percentages on our fixed route just due to our new service expansion and the fluctuation and the variable mileage, since our PMs are mileage based. Within facilities, one thing we track internally is our work orders that are completed and created. So for the past 2 months in September and October, we had about 76 work orders created, and we did have 77 completed. That's inclusive of 1 other work order from a previous month, but that just shows the level of work that is being done within the facility. And speaking of facilities team, we did recently celebrate our facilities team for Facilities Appreciation Week. So we're really happy to celebrate them, not just the workers that are here in the facility, but also our shelter cleaners that are out there at the pulse stations, power washing at the transfer stations and all that. So it's really amazing to celebrate their effort. And last but not least, I did want to highlight, we also did have our rodeo last month. So I did want to highlight our winners, as they will be representing GRTC at the state rodeo in March in Fairfax. So from our operator team, we did have Mr. Keon Brown in first place, Mr. Rondell Daly in second, Marlon Buck in third, and Chris Blow in fourth place. And of course, our maintenance team will represent us, Mr. Tony Harless, Jeff Williams, and Dr. Rich. So really happy to see them hopefully in March, bring it home to GRTC. That concludes my report.
All right, questions? Thank you, sir. Hey, ridership.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. This morning, I would like to provide you with a high-level overview of ridership performance on the GRTC system. Starting with the fixed route. So, in total, for the month of October, the ridership on the fixed route stood at 1,097,585, and this is a 7% increase compared to what it did last month. Just breaking it down. So with what we term as the fixed routes is the poles, and then all the other local routes plus the express service. And that is what we refer to as the fixed routes. And the poles saw a 5% increase as compared to what it did last month. The local routes saw an 8% increase compared to September. And express also saw an 8% increase. Also to touch on the specialized service, which is the para transit service, that saw a 13%. Kevin touched on the fact that we've seen an increase in the service. So yeah, that saw a 23%. I'm sorry, a 13% increase compared to what it did in September. Comparing it to what it did last year, at the same time, that is a 24% increase. So also looking at microtransit saw a 20% increase. So, generally looking at this system, overall, the GRTC system recorded 1,133,605 ridership. And from a month-to-month comparison, this is a 7% increase month-to-month. And comparing this to the same time last year, this is almost about 24% increase. All right, so we have some routes that are currently under observation, not for any bad reason, but for the fact that as part of the October booking, these routes saw some level of service change. So we just want to keep an eye on them, monitor to see how their performances are doing. So that's why, I kind of brought this up. And this includes 4 routes and 1 microtransit zone. The microtransit zone is the Azalea zone, where the October booking, which went into effect on October 20th, we added a Saturday service to that. For Route 1, we extended to VCC. I believe this is something that has already been shared. I just want to refresh our memories here. Route 1 saw extension to VCC with a 30-minute service. Route 1A, this also saw a change in headway to 30 minutes all day, Monday to Saturday. Initially, these service will end at 7 p.m., but with a change in October, we are running from 5 a.m. to midnight. Route 70 and 70, the headways on those two routes went from 60 minutes to 30 minutes. And these are routes that share the same trunk. So it means that the trunk has a 15 minutes service. So that is where we are on these routes, and that is why we're trying to keep an eye on it, just to after the service change. And we will keep sharing information on this with you all as we go forward. So let's touch a little bit on microtransit. So as we all know, we currently have 5 zones that are in operation. And just a brief overview of what the service is currently doing. This is just sharing with you the ridership for October in comparison to what it did last month. And you can tell that looking at the graph, all the zones have had increases. Overall, like I said earlier on, microtransit has seen a 20% increase in October when compared to what it did last month. So generally on the GRTC system, I think one can conclude that we have seen uptick in ridership. That doesn't mean that we don't have challenges. There are routes that we will continue to keep an eye on at the route level, just to make sure that we are working hard to improve the services on these routes. But, yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation.
All right, thank you, sir. Questions? Ridership performance. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, financial updates. Anything, Mr. Engel, from your subcommittee?
Well, last week we did receive the review of the audited financial statements prepared by Brown Edwards. And good news is we didn't see anything that needed to be addressed. Everything was unmodified, which sounds weird, but that's what you want.
All right, you want to?
In the September state financials, also everything looked to be in line. No concerns on that.
Is there anything you want to share?
The September package is included, and if there's any questions there on any.
Yeah, and we just had finance like last week. Was it last week?
Yep.
Yeah, Tuesday, yeah.
So there is a resolution
Yes.
in there for the acceptance of the audited financial statements.
The financial committee did recommend adopting the audited financial statement.
All right, so is that's the motion?
Yes.
All right, can we get a second?
Second.
All right, motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No one. Do we have any CEO comments this morning?
Yes, sir. Good morning again.
Good morning.
Just wanted to make you all aware, in case you haven't heard, that we have a new director of GRPT, Ms. Tiffany Robinson, who comes from the Youngkin administration. So as you all know, we get lots of funding from the state. So we are excited to work with her, as well as yesterday, we heard that President-elect Trump nominated Sean Duffy as a transportation secretary, which also impacts us from an FTA standpoint. So just wanted to make you all aware of those things. The other thing I have is our employee of the month. And I think we have 2 of them here. I don't see the third one. The one that's missing is Ms. Jonica Saunders. She's a supervisor in our transportation department. The other one is Brenda. You saw Brenda in the picture in Kevin's comments about facilities. Brenda is one of our supervisors of our bus cleaners, and they are responsible for making sure when we get messages that there's trash at a bus stop or whatever, we send them out and they go out and they clean up the bus stops in addition to their regular duties. So she was nominated as Employee of the Month. And the third one is Mr. Arthur Thomas. Mr. Thomas, stand up for me, please.
Where's Miss Brenda?
Miss Brenda is behind the pole.
Yeah, let us see Miss Brenda too.
Yes. Regarding Mr. Thomas, last month, he had one of those verbal assaults on his bus. And his technique in de-escalating that situation was amazing. That could have turned really ugly, potentially into a physical assault. But at the end, by the time he finished talking to the person and telling him everything was going to be all right, the man shook his hand. So we are so proud of him for that and want to utilize his situation to help train some of the other people. So we wanted to recognize Mr. Thomas, Ms. Walcott, and Ms. Saunders for everything they do to help keep GRTC moving forward and doing a good job. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Good stuff. Thank you. Thank y'all for what you do. I don't have any comments this month. I do know we have one more meeting before the end of the year, right? Okay.
Yep.
Colleagues, any business? All right, well, meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Yeah, I was trying.